Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love and wisdom going out to the empowered harmonizers. And before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to those of you who have recently donated to the channel. It is with so much gratitude and honor and privilege it is to curate this information and bring it together for you. And your contributions let me know that at least it's hitting home, that it's resonating with an important part of you, that you're taking it and running with it. You're resonating with it. And thank you so much. It lets me know that what I'm doing is working, it's hitting home, and it's able to provide you with a resource of knowledge and tools that you need. So thank you so much for your recent contributions. And I have received a number of comments from those people who've been wondering where to comment or where to donate. There is a little PayPal donate now on the left-hand side of the homepage here on YouTube. So you can go there if you wish. Someone had asked me to send up a GoFundMe page. I do have that. I'm not sure why they asked me to set that up, but I did. So if you want to use that, but otherwise most people just use that PayPal donate now button if you so desire. So thank you so much. And let's zoom in and focus in on today's topic. And that is really when a covert narcissist, a borderline, or a psychopath will plant seeds of disbelief, of negativity, in those people with whom they wish to control, overpower, and manipulate. Now, when we understand the personality construct of a covert narcissist or a psychopath, they have an insatiable need to control or overpower others. In other words, that's what gets them juiced up. That's where they're comfortable. That's where they feel significant, and that's where they derive their security. And it is this outward need to control and overpower others, which belays a sense of insecurity that they have inside. In other words, if they can overcompensate by overpowering or controlling or manipulating others, it gives them a sense of, I am in control, I am one over you, and we are not equals. We are on insubordinating planes. In other words, to keep their sense of power, they are going to take a superior frame to which with whom those that they will control. It's not on equal plane because you'll notice it in the negative seeds of disbelief. And then that sort of once, everything is going along ho-hum. And then once and again, you get the 1-2 punch. You get the punch to the chops. You get the, undercut to the underbelly. You get the jab in the ribs. You get, sort of thrown off, undercut on your knees. You get powed, in the kisser. It's because this is always sort of lurking in the background, in the subconscious of these individuals, because they like to know that they can cause their victims, their supply, to flinch, flail, and flitter, basically, get people tremoring and reactive to them. It lets them know, hey, I have control over you. I can make you intimidated. I can make you fearful. I can make you lash out in anger. I can set you on a whole cycle of anger and frustration and disempowerment. And oftentimes it is those seeds of disbelief which oftentimes launch people into that PTSD. It launches them into that that very sort of baseline or low self-esteem, that low-grade depression, that chronic silent treatment. It's the I'm no good, so I'm not going to talk to anybody. In other words, you win. I am going to just shut down. It is what precipitates and causes that sort of underlying or undergirding lack of self-confidence. And why would they sabotage? Why would they set these seeds of disbelief and say things to you like, well, you don't really like that, do you? Even though it's a passion of yours. You don't really want to do that, do you? When it's an exciting business opportunity. Well, I hope this doesn't become something that you don't like. And they're just planting seeds of disbelief. In other words, they're planting weeds in your garden of growth. And then basically, what ends up happening when people are they're not familiar, or they're not aware, they're not conscious that this is happening, that these negative seeds are then growing and then overpowering and overshadowing in, just without their knowledge. They don't know that this is a tactic of them. They don't, they just wither away in sort of confusion and feeling like, well, there must be something wrong with me. This person is just overpowering me and telling me, I must not like this. I don't like this. I don't want to do this. You must not like this or that. In other words, they're trying to plant seeds of disbelief within you to get you ultimately to shut down and become subservient. It's the ultimate power trip for people of this nature, for them to have this emotional win over others. And most people who are empathetic, they oftentimes see people as equals, and they want to come with a serving nature, but they don't often need to come from an insubordinate or lower than frame of reference in order to help another. They oftentimes believe in equality, oneness. You have as right to a place of life as I do, so they have more of an equal place. Even with different titles and things, they're not generally thrown off by that, or they're not intimidated, but they learn intimidation. This sort of feeling of lack of self-esteem is then learned. It is a learned emotional state. This is not your natural state. It is a learned state. You have learned to feel bad at the hands of this manipulator. You've learned to have low self-esteem at the hands of a chronic abuser. You have learned to feel these negative, disempowered states in order to, basically, oftentimes it's through lack of knowledge or lack of consciousness or lack of awareness that you enter into this downtrodden state. Oftentimes it can be as a source of rebelliousness, or, see, you are right. See how, look, depressed I am. See, look, I cannot make it. And then they become angry, rebellious, swearing, all sorts of anger. Anger that tends to permeate or represent itself on a daily basis, way too frequent for the normal happy life. And it is because these seeds of disbelief are planted in order to overcome the personal empowerment that is within that individual, is trying to derail that. So that is your natural state, which is to have an organic sense of thought, follow up on your interests, know what does interest you, what does empower you, what does impassion you. When that is supported, then that natural chain, the natural cycle will take place. And you're not seduced into the seeds of disbelief when you are, living in a happy or healthy life, which is separate from this type of personality construct. So that's why these people who then develop this healthy cycle again and again and again, they're not so prone or vulnerable to bullies. They're not so seduced by psychopathic or narcissistic people. They're not attracted by these people. They don't find them attractive, even if they have, a $3 million mansion and an antique Mercedes and the finest cashmere suit and the finest Italian shoes. I have grown up I was raised in an area with quite a bit of affluence and influence, in this area, and from where I had grown up. And, these are the seduction, this is the seduction of oftentimes these psychopathic or narcissistic people, that they want you to, keep on this frame that they are here and you're always there. And there's never, ever, ever any chance to level the playing ground and be as equal. They always want to have the leg up. They always want to tout their recent travels, their recent business coups. They want to always talk about them. It's always pivoting and centering around them. In other words, it's like the billboard effect, where they're in front of you like a billboard and you can't see the bigger picture. So you just need to kind of like shut out these types and don't be seduced by it. When we talk about, don't fall for the seeds of belief, even more than being falling for, it's don't being seduced by. Do not be seduced by these people and their energy of power or energy of hostility or energy of aggression or energy of wealth that might seem to try to overpower you. So when you're with these people who are kind of bossy, mean, or push their weight around and they think that they're better than you, and eventually, don't fall for that. Don't be seduced by that perspective, and don't allow yourself to be influenced. Keep yourself protected. Keep kind of a gaze. When we talk about dealing with that, it's about keeping a lowered gaze. In other words, keeping aware of the energy that just surrounds you as a human being, and shield your eyes once in a while. Don't take in all their image face on, and don't just have an open ear to them, where you're not listening to yourself. Instead, you're listening to them and not to yourself. Always keep an inner ear cocked to yourself. Keep a shielded gaze, meaning keep your eyes kind of lowered a little bit, where you're able to then use and kind of connect into the role of metacognition and say, okay, I am not seduced. I am not seduced by that negative message. I am not seduced by that negative seed of disbelief. And begin a way, so that you, and allow yourself so that you don't color these seeds with a really highlighted color. So in other words, when people hear these negative messages, sometimes they hear them, and feel them in these rainbow of colors where it's very vivid, and they're taking it to heart. I mean, they have, the pit in the gut when they hear these negative quips coming at them. So in part of the message, as you can understand, when we talk about how the subconscious mind processes things, you can have power over that. So where it usually kind of bypasses and goes right to your gut, right to the emotional center physiologically, you can learn to protect that. And for one, I would recommend is realizing that their message, rather than making it in this very vivid color where it's, exploding with color and power over you, begin to diminish it. Begin to kind of hear their message in black or white. Not meaning enter into black or white thinking, but doing reduce, turn the color, turn the amplitude down, turn the sort of volume down on their message, because oftentimes it can come at you very strongly. So when you're able to dim it down literally in your mind, and then use things like an averted gaze, or you can put a finger like this a little bit, and then just begin to hear your own words, and or shielding your ear a little bit and just saying, okay, what do I really think? I'm not going to be seduced by this negative seed that is trying to hamper my success or sabotage me. And really do not process it at face value, meaning don't take it at face value. Begin to process it in more of a healed or wise manner. In other words, it's coming at you, 80 miles an hour. Slow it down and say, okay, here it comes again. Here is this negative quip designed to make me feel less than, feel disempowered, feel hurt, feel angry, and then I'm going to spend the whole afternoon, the whole day, the whole week, the whole year, my whole life, feeling downtrodden, helpless, crippled by this whole situation. It does get that bad. And in other words, don't give it the really super high value. In other words, it becomes so during the course of a relationship dynamic with a narcissist, the person can, of course, always feel like, because of who they are, what they want to be in relationship, they always want to be superior than. There's never ever any equal frame where you can either be, you can either be subservient, you can be equal to, or you can be, superior to. So these are the frames of reference. There's been a number of different psychologists who talk about this and, framing, and I can get the names for you if you like, but, the covert narcissist or the psychopath, they're eventually going to try to keep that, the one that they're the above and there's not this ever any equality. I mean, they just don't. They're just not going to give up their superior position or that mindset in all their interactions that easily. So especially in the love bombing stage, or by virtue of their position, whether they're a boss, a parent, a sibling, a spouse, they're always going to try to take that sort of bigger piece of the pie, and always try, no matter what, and many times a day or many times during the conversation, let you know who's boss or who's superior. Don't buy into it. Don't be seduced by it, because in the love bombing stage, oftentimes you were seduced or kind of, fell into that belief, you were, because of who they were or what they had or what they did or what they said to you, that let you know that they were always going to be the boss and that you were down here, and then that then gives them the untitled reign to do whatever to you and exploit and call you whatever names, or talk to you with whatever tone, or treat you with whatever language, and that you are always going to be, you never stand a chance. Well, that's not what life is. Life does get better. Life does give you chance. Life does give you opportunity. Life does open doors. That's the whole point of life, is that you can follow your dreams, but when you're in that mindset, and you're under the basically the guise or the supposition that this person is always better than you and they know better and you will never ever have a chance to rise up, that is a lie. That is not what life is about. Have you ever seen a tree that never grows beyond an acorn? Have you ever seen a puppy that never grows into an adult pup? I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Have you ever seen a flower seed that's never bloomed into a rose or a rose garden? Have you never seen, birds that flock? I mean, that go great distances, or do they always stay in the nest? So in other words, what I'm saying is that the course and natural organic process of life is to get better. It is to improve. It is, as a human being, to learn lessons, to become more yourself, to become more aware, to become closer to the Creator. So these are all good and abundant things. But the covert narcissist or the psychopath will have you feel to the contrary, where, life is not your oyster, it's their oyster. They'll have you believing this, see, but they get their joy and their pleasure from being in that one-up position. So, but you don't want to be the target. You don't want to be the bait. You don't want to be the supply. So it is very important to know that. And so if no contact is the way, then that might be important for you. But more importantly, that if you are still in contact, I want you to know that you don't need to process this, i.e. internalize it, and let it churn and churn and churn within you to the point where you're then making that negative self-assessment. As a very important person said, and in one ear, out the other. In one ear and out the other. In other words, just let it fly by. Don't let it, take it to heart, take it to mind, or take it to heart and mind. In one ear and out the other, where eventually, if you have that control over your personal boundaries, which are within, they say, in arm's length, that's your personal space. I.e., that is your personal space. So if you were to take your arm and draw your arms out like this, or in front of you, that is your personal space. So keep very close attention to your personal space, and not allowing either verbal or, negative seeds or messages to enter into that personal space. If it's happened before, that was then. This is now. It's all about moving forward. It's all about learning the lessons. It's all about making corrections and adaptations. And so when these negative seeds of disbelief come in that they enter into that personal space or the realm of your consciousness, begin to enter into the sort of calm, soften your internal dialogue, soften your internal gaze, and kind of begin to enter into the role of metacognition, where you're able to see and catch it for what it is and just send it forward. In other words, don't process it, don't take it to heart, don't take it to mind. It's just another manipulative tactic to get you here. But if you see, this is your personal space. So you own all that area around you. That is your personal space. So you need to stand up for yourself. If you haven't done it before now, that's no problem, no worries. There's always a chance to begin, and that you want to repeat this sort of protection of yourself in a very soft, non-obtrusive manner. Meaning, and you don't have to be reactive to this person. See, this is where the seduction gets you, is when people then fall for the little carrot, and then they yell back, they jump back, they pounce back, they get into a fight back. Surrender. No can do. No can do the fight, no can do the yelling, no can do the discussion. And furthermore, when you see this beginning to take place, or you see these people, just give a silent internal reference to yourself where you just say, nope, I'm not seduced. I am who I am, and who I am is good enough, and they are not better. No matter, I don't care if it's the cars, the clothes, the bank account, these things do not a good person make. We've heard many a good people, or we've heard of many people in life who have all these things, yet we find things on down the road, or even more so, you know the truth about these people, and the truth will set you free. So you can do it. Begin to modify your gaze. Begin to become more protective of that personal space. Do not process those seeds of disbelief that those people who are manipulative, who might try to plant into you. Don't be seduced. Don't even react back to them. Just don't even say a word. Your silence is your greatest warrior there. And remember to keep it in more of a very dispassionate black and white. In other words, when it usually come at you very strong or bombastic, begin to take control of that message coming in. Make it more black and white. Turn the sound down, if you will. Begin to not hyper focus on it. And don't let it just affect you emotionally. And you'll find that you're able to create more control over your own emotional state and protect those positive seeds of greatness which you have within. It's time to see those, feel those, and have those grow abundantly in your life. And then those negative seeds of disbelief will have no place, because you'll know right away, nope, there comes another negative seed. Not here, not in my garden. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. And I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.